Welcome to your Unit 6 study guide on the basics of quadratics. We're going to look at Objective 1, questions numbers 1 through 4 in this video. Okay? After reading question number 1, it says, what direction does the graph open and does it have a maximum or a minimum value? Okay? When you do this, you want to look at the x squared term and look at its number in the front. This is known as the a. Okay? Our a equals -3. This is the sole determiner in the direction. Okay? And once you know the direction, then you know whether it has a minimum or a maximum. So if we look, our a equals -3. So it's a negative. And try to put it in terms of stuff that you know. Do negative things make you happy, or do negative things make you sad? Okay? Negative things make you sad or make you frown. So we're going to have a frowny parabola. If you look, it makes you sad. Okay? So it's going to open down. Okay? So it opens down. And then to determine whether it has a maximum or a minimum, we're going to look where the vertex would be, which would be right here. And is this at the top or the bottom of the graph? And it's at the very top of the graph. Okay? The top would indicate that it's a maximum. Okay? Now, let's look at question 2. It says, what is the vertex of the function? Okay? So when we need to find the vertex is found at x equals -b over 2a. And then when you have that, then you plug in to find the y coordinate. Okay? So we're going to figure out what our a and our b and our c equal from this equation. And then we're going to plug in and we're going to solve. Okay? So if you look, our a is based on the function ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is the number on the x squared. So our a, we determined in the previous question, was -3. Our b is always attached to the plain old x. So you look, this one has a plain old x, so that's a 30. Okay? And then our c is the number that does not have a letter on it, which would be the -72. Okay? So now we're going to figure out, okay, x equals -b over 2a. So try not to think of it as much as -b as the opposite of b. What is the opposite of 30? -30 over 2 times -3, which is our a. And so you get -30 over -6, which equals +5. Okay? So now our vertex coordinate is going to be 5 something. And the way we figure out the something is we plug 5 in to the whole function up here, and then that'll give us our y value. So I'm going to take our whole function here, I'm going to put -3, and then instead of writing x, I'm going to put 5 in parentheses, and that was squared, plus 30, and then I'm going to put that 5 again, and then the minus 72. Okay? So now we're going to solve this, or simplify it would be a better way to say it. 5 squared is 25. 25 times -3 is -75. 30 times 5 is 150, and it's +150. And then minus 72 will come down. You can type all this in your calculator straight up if you're not good at the mental math part of it, and it will give you the answer. Negative 75 plus 150 is 75, and then you're going to subtract 72. 75 minus 72 is 70. Oh, not 70. It's just 3. Okay? So then I put that 3 up here, and this becomes our vertex. And so I tried to color code it so you could see where each number came from. The orange 5 came from the negative b over 2a, and we plugged that in, and we ended up with the purple 3 down at the bottom, which became this purple 3 up here. Question number 3 says, how many roots, zeros, solution, x-intercepts does the equation x squared minus 36 have? And so one thing that you can do is you can use your calculator. This is going to be the only way I'm going to show you because it's the fastest and easiest way to do it. So you're going to go to y equals in your calculator. You're going to type in the function from the equal sign over. So we have x and then squared and then minus 36. And then you're going to press graph so that you can see a picture. And all we're looking for is the x-intercepts. How many times does this cross the x-axis? So I'm going to drag this picture over so that we can see it over here. Alright, and so we look at the x-axis, it crosses right there, and it crosses right there. You don't have to see the whole parabola, but if you wanted to see what it would kind of look like, it would look something like this. Okay? And you would see that we still, all we're looking for is how many times it crosses the x-axis, and you get 2 solutions. Very simple. All you're looking for is where does it touch the x-axis, how many times does it touch. Now there are 3 possibilities. You could have 2 solutions, which you see here, very common. You could have 1 solution, or you could have 0. Okay, 1 solution, if you have an x graph, would come down and it would touch the x-axis and then it would go back up, or vice versa, it would go up, touch the x-axis, and come back down. If it had 0 solutions, it would be off and above the x-axis, or it'd be off below the x-axis, and it would never touch it. So you could have 2 solutions, 1 solution, or no solution. Okay? Question 4. Complete the table and graph. This is very simple to do. I'll show you the 2 methods to do it, and they'll ultimately be the same. So I'll show you how to do it the long way, and then I'll show you how to use your calculator to do it, and I will not graph it but one time. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is the middle coordinate is always going to be your vertex. So to find your vertex, you need to use x equals the opposite of b over 2 times a. So if we look, our a is 2, our b is 8, and our c is 6. So x equals the opposite of 8, which is negative 8, over 2 times 2. So you get negative 8 over 4, which equals negative 2. So this is our coordinate, negative 2, and then we need to find the y coordinate. Our x part of our coordinate is negative 2. We need to find our y part of the coordinate, which would be, we would plug in negative 2. Okay? So you got 2, and then negative 2 get plugged in, and then we get squared plus 8 times the negative 2 plus 6. Okay? And then when we solve this, You get negative 2 squared, which is positive 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times negative 2 is negative 16 plus 6. 8 minus 16 is negative 8. And then you do bring down your plus 6. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. So then you get negative 2, negative 2. And if you look on our table, put negative 2 right next to negative 2. And then I'm going to come make a dot at negative 2, negative 2, which is right there. Okay? So then we need to find the other coordinates. Now the way we do this is by plugging in 1, and since we put our vertex in the middle, whatever we do for this side, it becomes that on that side. So I'm going to use negative 1, okay? And so I'm going to go 2 times negative 1 squared plus 8 times negative 1 plus 6. And so you get 2 minus 8 plus 6, so that's negative 6 plus 6, which is 0. Okay? And so I'm going to put a 0 for negative 1. And so if I come over, I go to negative 1, and then I go to 0. That's a dot right there. Okay? Now, one thing I didn't show you before, and I should have done it, is the axis of symmetry. Going through the vertex is the axis of symmetry. Okay? Goes right through the middle of the vertex. The reason you want to draw that is because wherever your vertex is, wherever your axis of symmetry is, when you make a dot on one side, it's going to be exactly the same on the other. So if you go one space to the right, right here, make a dot, then you'll go one space to the left right there and make a dot, which would be the point negative 3, 0. Well, here's negative 3, and we go to 0. Okay? So now 0 is right here. That's the y-axis. And we should note that the positive 6 is on our y-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because it is our y-intercept. Okay? And so that's 6. And if it's 2 dots this way, 2 spaces this way, we'll go 2 spaces this way, because it's got to be symmetrical. Okay? And that's the dots for our quadratic. And so if this one's 0, 6, then this is negative 4, 6, which you can see, negative 4 up to 6. Okay? Now I'm going to do my best to draw a good quadratic graph here for you. Yeah, they corrected it for me a little bit. And that's essentially what your graph should look like. Okay? With your vertex coming more down towards the dot, like so. Okay? And that's how you graph. Thank you for watching Objective 1. Please move on to the Objective 2 video.